Hello and welcome to my cooking class. It's Jacqueline here. It's Thursday. I'm actually out in the sunshine. I'm enjoying this because, as you may know, the Okanagan has been on fire. I know we even reached the American news recently. So I don't know if you can see, but it's a little smoky out here, but at least I've got sunshine and I'm not hacking, or let's cross my fingers and hope I don't. So I'll just wait a second or two while we get some people coming in. Let me know where you're from. Hi, Marie-Claude. Nice to see you. Wish I had Zoom so we could actually see your face as well as mine. So today's cooking class, what I thought I'd do, how many of you barbecue? And how many of you have seen the Spotlight solution for this week? Oh my gosh, yes, it's Italian. And so what I thought I'd do is I'd let you know how to purchase this right now. Purchase it now because it's at a discount, but I'm going to showcase some of the products that are in it. And what I'm going to do on the barbecue today is use our pesto. Now, this is not a pre-made pesto. This is a dried pesto. And pesto, just so you know, if you convert the words, it basically means to actually chop, like it's ground. And so if you were going to make pesto by scratch, you'd have to go buy basil. Maybe you've got it growing in your garden, but you're going to grind it. Usually it's in a pestle and mortar. Home Office does it for you. Why wouldn't you let Epicure make your life easy? So the ingredients and the instructions on this are right on the jar. And it says it's perfect for pasta, pizza, sandwiches, crostini, chicken and fish. I'm making chicken on the barbecue. And we're going to make not a pesto sauce like it says, but we're going to make a marinade. So let's get started so I can show you how to do this. And for those of you who like prepping in advance, this recipe, you can marinate your chicken in advance with this recipe, throw it in the freezer, and then when you come home at the end of a busy day and you're thinking, gosh, what am I going to have? You can pull it out of the freezer, or if you're thinking the morning of, pull it out of the freezer and stick it in the fridge for the day. All right, so let's get started. So our marinade that we're going to use today, I've got our 4-cup prep bowl, if you happen to have that handy. I've got our 4-in-1 spoon, and we're going to take some balsamic vinegar. We're going to put about a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar in there. I'm hoping the wasps don't come after me. Wasps love balsamic vinegar because it's a little sweet. We're also going to add a little bit of oil. So getting our 4-in-1 spoon again. Tablespoon of oil, so that's a tablespoon. And if you're doing more than the 2 breasts that I'm doing right now, you're going to want to double this recipe. So when I put the recipe up on my website, I will make sure that I provide you with the family size version. So we're going to add approximately a tablespoon of honey here. And just so you know, I'm sure you've probably seen me talk about this before, but you never put metal inside your honey jar because it'll crystallize it. There's a chemical reaction that happens. So get acrylic, or use our great little knife here, or our spoons, our measuring spoons. So I've got this started. I'm just going to mix this up a bit because I want to make sure that my honey is in there. And we're going to, you've always seen me talk about this, but we're going to grab a different spoon. Why? This one has liquids in it. My dry mix is going to get totally stuck in here, but we're going to take our 4-in-1 spoon. We're going to make sure we put it right in here, and we're going to add a full tablespoon of our pesto. And now I'm going to add this to a bag that already has chicken in it. Now let's talk a little bit about the marinade right away. Marinating is fabulous for a number of reasons. Number one, it's going to enhance your flavor of whatever you're using. It's also going to make your meat or whatever you're using more moist because it's almost like a barrier with that oil in it. Because it has some acids with the vinegars that you may use, or maybe you're using lemon juice, that actually will penetrate the, the connective tissues, and it will actually break it up. So it tenderizes it as well. So if you don't marinate, I'm just telling you, you really, really should. It makes all the difference in the world. So here's what I was saying. Okay, so pre-portion your chicken if you get it on sale. Get a bag, make sure you label it. And I am going to put this marinade right inside here. Now, optimally, we want to marinate for, oh gosh, how many minutes would we want? At least 10 minutes, preferably a couple hours. And some of you may be thinking, oh my gosh, you can't marinate for that long, Jacqueline. You know, if I'm not cooking this till tomorrow, it'll be too much. Not to worry. We're going to put this one in the freezer. And when you put it in the freezer, it stops the marinating process. Then when you take it out and it's thawing out, it goes back to work to marinate your food. All right. Okay, so I've got this inside here. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk about is when you're doing prep work, because I know we're going into the season when, you know, gosh, kids are going back to school and things like that. It's important to get the air out of your bag. And the reason being is air can actually cause freezer burn, and freezer burn can change the flavor of whatever you've got in your bag. So what you could do is dip this in water. It's called water displacement. So the water will push around this and squeeze the air out. I forgot to bring water out, so I'm just going to carefully squeeze this out. What I try to do is close my bag most of the way, and I am sort of rolling the last little bit of air out, and then I'm sealing it. So as you can see, my air is pretty well out of there. It's tight. If you've got a vacuum sealer, great. Now here's the other tip I do. Sometimes, I usually put all my meals into family-sized portions, but sometimes my husband's not around or I'm not around and we want to have this dish, but we don't want to cook two of them. So what I recommend is get a decent size of bag, and I like sort of separating them, and when I put them in the freezer, that way they're in a set. Make sure you see, of course, the label on the outside. So now I don't have to, you know, have a huge block. If I just want one, it's very easy to separate. So I've got the TV version of that, so we're just going to marinate that. I've got one that I did earlier this morning, so as you see, here we go. You can see how it's already changed a little bit of consistency. My barbecue is, we're going to put this on the barbecue. I'm also going to do something with potatoes here as well with that collection. So with your barbecue at medium-high, we're just going to, again, and you notice how I like rolling the corners. I like rolling the corners because it prevents them from falling over a little bit. Grab your grip and grabs, and remember these are sold separately. Barbecue's nice and hot. Nice pieces of chicken on there. Now, I do recommend that you salt and pepper your meat. So if you have a salt grinder, pepper grinder, or SPG, I actually want salt on this. And this won't take long to cook. So what I thought I'd serve, and I've already pre-done this just because I want to speed up the cooking time so you're not watching me forever, sort of watching my grass grow. Set these aside. These are we don't want to toss those because these are going to be used to flip, but we are going to have some new ones on the side here that are clean. So what I've done here, I've got my round steamer, and I went and got a couple potatoes. I sliced them. So, and I pre-did them in the oven, microwave oven. So they're sort of already, I'm going to say like 60% done. It's not going to take a lot of time, but we want to address this and give this a little bit of flavor as well. So get a little bit of oil. This is going to allow you to make it a little bit crispy on the outside. We don't need a lot, just a little bit to toss. So Here's my clean ones. And I wanted to introduce you to the Italian seasoning. Now, this Italian seasoning, of course, it says the same sort of thing. It is different, of course, than pesto, which is mostly basil. But this is for pasta dishes, casseroles, marinades, and chickens. Today it's going to be for our sliced potato that we're going to roast or grill. And I definitely want to put SPG on here because I like the garlic on here. And then I'm just going to toss this. Make sure I've got lots of coating all over them. Make sure they're not sticking together, that you've got some oil a little bit everywhere. And we're just going to put this as well on the barbecue. I'm going to add a little bit more salt because I know I've got my son Brett coming to the house tonight, and he has specifically told me that he wants to make sure that I have meat and potatoes. I can do that. So just make sure you've got these spread out nicely. The chicken should cook probably about 6 minutes on each side, I'm guessing. Of course, you want to make sure that your chicken's cooked well and it's not still red, but I can tell this is cooking well, so I don't want that one, I want this one. Just give this a flip. We'll let that cook for a little bit. So let me give you some more fun food facts about our business and what we're doing today. Now, I did talk about making freezer meals, and as we're getting closer to kids going back to school, pre-prepping food, like marinating, like we're doing right now. Maybe it's not for marinating on the barbecue, but maybe it's for marinating in the oven, so you can put it in the oven. It could be also for you just have a freezer meal in advance. So stay tuned. I'm going to be putting together a program here pretty quick of freezer meals that you can make in advance, that you can tuck aside, because I remember having children at the beginning of September, and it's a little hairy-carry, so I will make sure that I take care of that. So let's also talk a little bit more about pesto. So I'm going to give you some more ideas, because some of you might be saying, okay, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be using pesto a lot. Would it be worth it? 100%. I'm going to tell you a little story. I went on a really, really nice trip one year to Galiano Island. It's a little island in the Pacific between Vancouver Island and Vancouver. And while I was there, I popped into a little pizza place. Oh my gosh, I had the best pizza ever. So what you can do with your pesto is make the recipe as it says on the package. A little goes a very long way. To make it super fast for your family, get pita, so cook pita, and you're going to make your pesto. Just put a little layering on top, and then on top of that, an adult pizza, I would put sun-dried tomatoes, I would put chopped artichokes, and feta cheese. And then lastly, maybe grate a little bit of Parmesan. I was spending $6 for a piece of pizza that was like about this. I'm going to be able to show you how to save so much money by just really taking a look at Epicure and what we have to offer. So let's just take a look at what the barbecue is looking like right now. Okay, so my potatoes are cooking well. My chicken needs a little bit more time. But again, as my potatoes were sort of already cooked, oops, having a really hard time flipping them, they really won't take a lot of time. We just are sort of trying to crisp them up and get that little extra Italian flavoring to them. Looking good? Who wants to come for dinner? So what's your favorite? While I'm just sitting here flipping and you're watching me, which, how boring is that? I'm curious, of all the different seasonings that we have here for the summer season, what's your favorite? Have you found a favorite? because I do want to let you know that our selections, like our Montreal steak, chicken, our barbecued chicken, and rib rubs, those products actually leave our line at the end of September. And that is really sad for a lot of people, because I know not everyone lives in Canada where it's cold for many months. But you may want to also be just grilling on an indoor grill, or maybe you can sneak out to the barbecue. So before the season gets to the close, because when it gets closer to the time, sometimes we do run out of products. If you have favorite items that are relating to the barbecue, so potato salad, coleslaw, we're talking about the ribs and glazes that we have, go take a look, because they usually leave the line, and I would highly recommend that you get enough to carry you over, because they usually leave and will not come back until maybe May next year. So how many jars of hamburger seasoning do you know? Or do you need? How many jars of Big Burger sauce, or BBS as we call it? I know that I personally, here's my favorite. I hope, write down what your favorites are. My personal favorite is mixing the O Canada and the barbecue chicken and rib together. I think I mentioned that on a past cooking class, and people were saying they tried it, they ordered it, and they loved it. So if you haven't tried that, do. And I'm not just saying it to sell it, two of them. It's because it's like, I called it like kettle corn chicken. It's sweet and spicy. Okay, so I'm sure this is practically done. So I'm just going to get a plate to put this on. It's got a lot of heat going on here. Okay, I grab the back one here. That's a lid. And a good way to make sure, of course, if I had brought my meat thermometer out here, I can check. But make sure that you check it, and it's not pink inside. I'm just going to make a little slice. Okay, looking good. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of chicken on here. Grab some of my potato wedges. Oops, I just remembered. I'm going to do a caprese. Hang on. I'm not done yet, guys. I just remembered I have cheese out here, and I'm going to really make this Italian. Change of plans, out of sight, out of mind. Inside here, I have a little package of things to decorate, and that's what I was just thinking about right now. It's like, how am I going to make this look really pretty on that plate? Well, first off, I'm going to put cheese on it. So provolone, mozzarella. Just going to put it on that one. I would know it's cooked. I'm just going to let that melt for a quick little minute. So we might as well chop up Roma tomatoes. If you're wondering what tomato to put on top of things, Roma tomatoes have less moisture in them, so they're far better. So if you have our ceramic knife, you might want to grab this. And maybe do a few thin little slices that we can set on top. If you would sooner put it into chunks, you certainly could. I have some basil growing in my garden, so I'll probably garnish with a little bit of that as well. And do not buy balsamic vinegar that is already reduced, because it's crazy, silly, stinking expensive. Save yourself some money. All I did is I grabbed my balsamic vinegar, put about a half a cup in a fry pan, and just let it release the moisture, and now it's a nice little drizzle sauce. I like it just as it is, but if you have a little bit of a sweet tooth and you want to make it a little bit sweeter, I would recommend maybe adding a little bit of honey or brown sugar. Okay, all right, so I'm sure this cheese is melted now. Maybe now I can get my act together. I'm going to blame that we haven't had a lot of sun. I'm missing maybe vitamin D. Okay, that's about good for now. Go back and get the rest in a minute. Okay, so we've got this here. Now, as you can see, it's sort of which is why I just remembered, oh my gosh, cheese. To make this come to life, because we know that people eat with their eyes. They really do. I mean, would you eat purple food? No. So you've got these great tomatoes. We've got meat. We've got our cheese. We've got our tomato that we can set on top here. And then last but not least, grab some basil if you have it, or just anything green. You could even put sprigs of onion or whatever, just to decorate up the plate. It even looks Italian because of the colors. So there you go, folks. This is my, what are we going to call it? I think we're going to call it a grilled pesto chicken, I don't know, grilled chicken dinner, I guess, with Italian potatoes. So enjoy this. I have had this before, and I actually said to my assistant, what am I going to make today? Have I ever made this recipe? I know it absolutely tastes good. And if you really want to get fancy, you could have stuffed the cheese inside as well. So take care, everyone. Thanks for watching the cooking class. Let's throw our little bit of drizzle on top. Now we're good to go. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next Thursday.